Dad talked to me about setting something like this up, and you have mixed feelings, what you should or should not do, but there's a lot of people that mean a lot to me, so I think I'd like to take advantage of this time when it was afforded to me. So as everybody knows, yesterday after the game, had a conversation after I had a chance to meet with the players and their staff. I came in, and then Dave passed on the information that the organization decided to move in a different direction as far as a head coach. So as you would assume, it's a tough thing to hear, a challenging thing to hear, but I think as I've had a chance to sit back and think about it, I think all of a sudden it comes into your mind how grateful you are. And we're very grateful. Our family, roughly 4 years ago, had a chance to move to Jacksonville. And this city has been unbelievable. We've had great memories here. Our families enjoyed it. And I can't say enough about the city in itself. And I think that goes on to, a lot of people that we've met have been so good to us. Starting with Shad Khan. I don't know what I can say about him. Words don't give him justice, I don't think. He is a great leader. He's a confidant. I consider him a great friend, a guy that I've leaned on and talked to multiple times. And I just think this whole city, this whole organization, the fans of this organization know that Shad's got one thing in mind, and that's what's best for this organization and best for this fan base. And there is not a doubt in my mind he'll deliver that. So I thank him. I've had a great relationship with Dave Caldwell. Not only Dave, but his family. I know when I was in Seattle, Pete Carroll told me, when you meet a GM for the first time, you got to develop a marriage. You got to really treat it like a marriage. And we did that. And with Dave, and not only Dave, but Joel and young Dave and just his whole family. And then on the business side of it, too, I think we've had great conversation. I've learned a great deal about the NFL through Dave on that side of things. And, there's been challenging discussions with him and the scouting staff, but good discussions. And his support's been unwavering. And to him, I'm grateful. And then you start thinking about other things, too, our support staff. Everybody that was involved in our building. I'm talking, Elizabeth and Tyler and all the people that have worked hand in hand with me and our coaching staff on this journey. It's hard to mention all of them, but so grateful to them. And then you start thinking about the fans, and our fans have been great. I cannot tell you over the past 4 years and daily how many notes of encouragement, how many texts, how many shout outs, how much information I've gotten from our fans, just support, and it's unbelievable. And to the media, to you that have been here on a daily basis and cover this team and cover me and listen to me on a daily basis. There's so many times we've had conversation when I've asked you to maybe keep it off the record or it's between us. And for 4 years, you've never went against that. And I appreciate that greatly as well. The players, what do you say about them? Until you're with them every day, and you see what they go through. I've heard that the players say, people just don't understand what we go through. I've been there with them, and I see what they're going through. Haven't experienced all of it, but a lot of it. And there's amazing people in that locker room. You talk about resilient. Someone asked me, they said, Gus, how do you think the players will be? They'll be great because they're so resilient. They understand the business. They understand, people come and go at times. And although it might be tough, they'll bounce back and become even stronger. And, sometimes change is good. Sometimes change is good. And it may be in this fact for the players. I'm hopeful that it is because they deserve nothing but the best. And I'm pulling for them. It's just, finally, I think the coaches. We've got a great staff, great staff. And I hope that the ones that are qualified are taken into consideration for this opportunity. And I believe there is. I believe there's great candidates. There's a great staff. And, I've been fortunate to be around very, very good people in the NFL and in college. And our staff is made up of a lot of really good people, really good coaches. So I thank them too. So, like I said, the record, what took place, I take full responsibility for it. I have no excuses. I have no misgivings. There's nothing that I look back at and say, you know what, would have, could have. I understand that NFL is a business and it's results orientated, and we didn't get it done. And as far as given the opportunity, and did Shad provide? He provided everything that we needed, and so did Dave. And Mark Lamping, you know, the conversations I've had with him too, he's been a strong mentor for us as well. So with that, I'll leave it up for questions.
Thank you for doing this, first of all. The way it was handled yesterday, a phone call from ownership, did that surprise you that you didn't at least get the last 2 games?
No, I mean, I don't know what's surprising. You know, I think at the time, you know, after having talks with the players, you come in the locker room and you know, it's 21-20 and you're shocked. And, you know, so at that point in time, my mind was completely on that. So I thought Dave handled it very well. I thought, you know, Tony Khan, the whole Khan family has been great. Tony and I have developed quite a relationship, and he was involved in it too. So when I had conversations with him, but it was, you know, I don't know. I'm not. I try not to be bitter, you know, a bitter person. So when we had the conversation, it was more reflection and where this team is going and how we can make it even better.
Have you looked ahead and thought about what you might like to do next year as far as coaching?
No. Been receiving a lot of texts and you know, what you think you get a lot of texts when you get a job, you know, when something like this occurs. But it's pretty neat, you know, just how many people reach out. You know, I love coaching. I love it. So hopefully I'm coaching somewhere. You know, I'm right now, you know, my family was still asleep at 8 o'clock in the morning. I said, boy, they're really taking it hard. You know, so I haven't had much time to visit with them. You know, I just, you know, we'll see, you know, right now. You know, there's part of you, I already miss it. I already miss it. You know, and that's what's tough. That's what's tough.
Do you, looking back, is there anything where you feel like it went wrong, or I know you said you have no misgivings about how you did it, but is there anywhere you go,
well,
went off?
I think you do. I think you look back and you say, God, you know, maybe if this took place, or, you know, you always do that. I think you always want to challenge yourself, so you find ways to improve. And I think that, you know, you write down things and you go back and you look at it and say, you know, what would I have done differently? But we had those conversations every week, you know, Dave and I did, and our coaches. We write out reports at the end of the week. What would we do differently? How would we go about it? So I think you'll always take the time to do that.
At any point, did you feel like you wanted to bench the quarterback because he wasn't giving you the best chance to
No.
All right. Do you regret not giving somebody else a look at that position?
At quarterback?
Yeah.
No, you know what? Let me say this about Blake. I'm a big Blake Bortles fan, obviously. Did he not play as well? Did he not meet the expectations, his own expectations, or what was set out? Yeah, I would think that'd be a question to ask him, but I'd say no. We all know that there's a higher level for him, but I believe in Blake Bortles. I think that I've said that many times. I think this season really stings. It really hurts. It really hurts that team. Now, my hopes is that sting hurts enough that you know, it really challenges them to go another direction. And you see that happen with some people and with some teams. And I think that's how you're going to see Blake Bortles come back from it. I think that it stings enough, and he's such a fierce competitor. I expect nothing but good things to happen for him and this team, with him as the leader.
Was the trip home last night awkward, or was it good for you? And how emotional was it when you went through and maybe player by player? Right.
You know what? I thought maybe I'd get a chance today, but we didn't have a team meeting. So, you know, in that part, I'm glad I was on the plane, because I did have a chance to talk to them, or some came up to me and visited. You know, but the text that you receive. The one thing with coaching is, boy, it's not over. I know that's hard to say. You know, like, I've received multiple texts from players in Tampa, from Seattle, multiple. And so it's hard to say, oh, it's over, because it really isn't over. I guess maybe I don't choose to look at, when you have relationships with these guys, it's not just for the time that you're there. I think it becomes even stronger when you're apart.
How impressed were you by Todd Wash's ability his first year as defensive coordinator to kind of really grow the defense and improve the defense?
I thought he did an outstanding job. The whole defensive staff, but under his leadership, I think we got back. We had multiple conversations in the offseason about where we wanted to go and take this defense to another level. The acquisitions helped, along with the guys that were in place. But I think to come up with a package that was maybe very similar to what we always knew it should look like, but then make some additions to make it even stronger. So he's did a phenomenal job.
Gus, you felt your message always to the players, you were always trying to create that stress-free environment for them so that they could play at their best. Why do you think, in this time of reflection, have you had a chance to think about why it didn't kind of capture enough of the team for them to take responsibility for the accountability and the discipline?
Well, I've heard you say that before about stress-free. I don't know if it's stress-free. Maybe it's more the things you can't control, just move aside, ignore that part. There's enough other things that we got to put our attention to. So, I think it's more ignore the noise. I think when you go through it, you want to improve and it's results, and there's probably, there's tension between the two. I think that's probably the way to look at it. You don't want it, hey, it's just about improving, but it's not just solely about winning. I think you need both. You need both. And finding that tension between the two, that's the challenge of any coach. If you talk to highly successful athletes, coaches that have been part of teams, they really talk about the process. But I'm sure the ones that do it really well, there's tension. And that's what every coach is searching for.
Gus, you knew when you signed up for this was going to be a tough haul and you were early going, at least with the whole plan. Was it harder than you imagined it would be in terms of getting it or trying to get it right?
I thought they painted a really good picture when I interviewed what it was going to be and what it was going to entail. And I think we all knew what the challenges that we were facing. But it was very intriguing to me. When I heard that, I was like, okay, this is really, really going to take every ounce. This is really going to be challenging, and it's require a lot of hard work and attention in multiple areas. And that was intriguing to me. So, was it tough? Yeah, it is tough. But I believe it's better than where it was, but still work to be done.
Shad called this team extremely talented last night. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think I do. I think every team is talented, though, in the NFL. So it depends. I've used the analogy like the Minnesota Timberwolves, a team where I'm, from. They've got 5 lottery picks, and you'd say, boy, they're very talented. But talent alone doesn't take you to the playoffs. It doesn't make you it's not just talent. So, Gus, is this a talented team? Without a doubt, it's talented. Without a doubt. Do you think it's a playoff team? Well, we'll see on that. Now, so when you say, Gus, it's a talented team, it is a talented team, but most teams in the NFL are. It's the process of taking a talented team and having it mesh together to do, really good things. Now, and it's a league that is, and not only is it a precision league on the field, but it's a precision league as far as overall your record. And what's the difference? We lost a 1-point game. We had a safety, it's one thing here, one thing there. That's how the game is. So you have talent that puts yourself in that position, and then there's things that have to take place to get you over that hump.
Have you thought about coaching in college?
I'll coach anywhere. I just want to coach. I've never been, to me, the big time's where you're at. And I just want to be a part of it. I think someone asked me, Gus, do you want to be a head coach again? And I just want to go be a part of something special. I just want to go to a place and help that organization and give everything I can to help it be its best. I never got caught into roles.
Gus, what's the process now? You've spent holidays with your family. What's next?
I don't know. I mean, I want to make sure we have a good Christmas in the Bradley household. I want to make sure of that. So they might have to nudge me a little bit. there's, I'm sure there'll be things that will happen fast, and some decisions that will be made. So, I just gotta, take time to reflect a little bit on that.
You've talked a lot about the penalties this year. They're high early, then dipped, then last couple of games again. Were you able to put your finger on it? Was it, were guys thinking they could get away with some stuff, or were there effort penalties?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I think, get away with some stuff. I think that penalties are part of the game. They happen, but you're right. There's games where we had 14 and 15, and as a coaching staff, we'd say that's unacceptable. We can't have that many penalties. It hurts you. So, we had some issues with some false starts and through noise or through cadence or whatever thing that need to be cleaned up. And there's things that pop up like that. So, I don't know if you look at it and say, well, there's lack of accountability. I mean, you guys will decide that. I think that's where the coaching staff will look at this week, and they'll decide it.
Gus, do you have any regrets about any, whether decisions on personnel or anything like that, major things that looking back on now you go, oh, maybe if I'd done this instead, or can you not just do that? You just can't do that.
Oh, no. I think that you have to have humility. I think humility is a big part of it, to say, no, you know what, I have no regrets. When I said no regrets about, putting the effort into it, and, but when you talk about specific things, hey, as you reflect back on this, would you do anything differently? Well, I think you have to do that. I think we all do that. So, yeah, you look back at some decisions, but once you make a decision, I've always been in the mindset, let's go. Let's make this a good decision. And you pour your heart and soul into it. And to me, I think that's where, for Dave and I, obviously we have different personalities, and that was a good thing. The personality is this: if you give us a player, or you give me a player as a coach, then I want to take that player and help him be his best. And you're going to have to take him away from me to stop from me helping him. So somebody needs to go, Gus, we need to move on from him. We need to move on from him, and we have to go a different direction. Because it's like a bulldog. I'm going to help this guy. I got to help this guy. You feel like you can save everybody somewhat, And so I think it's important that you have that personality. If a coach feels that way, then someone has to have the personality to say, it's time. It's time. We have to move on. So, I think that's, so regrets, you look back at it and say, maybe I stuck too long, maybe I should have gave more time. Maybe I put too much effort into this one person when there's 89 other guys, but I don't know if that's ever going to change, for me.
Did you coach as much as you wanted to?
Yeah, that's part of the head coaching stuff. There's things you look and, but you also want to provide strength. I wanted to make sure this defense was Todd Wash's defense and the defensive coaching staff, not they're running Gus Bradley's defense. I think that was very important to me. So to be involved and be there and be involved in meetings, I was more involved this year than in previous years, and be that sounding board, but I also wanted them to have ownership of it. Different than when you're in charge of a position group or a unit.
Did it mean something to you that you impacted those guys in the locker room outside of football? Maybe by the text that you got from them or whatever it might be?
Well, they impacted me. I think it goes both ways. I think everybody you come in contact, you hope. If someone said, boy, this probably is not going to sound good here, but sometimes when I talk to younger coaches and they say, hey, Gus, you think I want to go into coaching? What do you think? And I'll ask them, why do you want to go into coaching? And to some of them, it's, well, I want to win championships. And that's good. That's great. It's awesome that you have that. But I found usually those guys are the ones that struggle a little bit. It's one way of doing it, and they can have success doing that. There's another way of looking at it, and a lot of people say this is because they were influenced by a coach that they had, and they want to share that and influence others. Because someone had such, and that was for me, someone had such great influence on me as a coach, I in turn want to have that influence on somebody else. And that person who had great influence on me, we also won. you know, and that's the same thing. And winning's very important, so I don't want to take away from that. But you get into it because you want to have influence on people. And and I think that when you influence people, you receive back too. And hopefully it was like that.
How disappointed are you did not get to speak to your team one last time?
You hope you can. You just don't. As long as they understand, then I'm good. You know, you talk that you care, you appreciate them, and oh really, Gus? We didn't get a chance to hear from you one last time. I don't want to give them that perception. So hopefully they understand me, and it's not that. So other than that, man, they got to move on, and it's time.
Jeff Fisher did an exit interview yesterday. He says, "I can't wait to play the Rams again." He comes off as bitter. How tough is it to not sound bitter for you? I mean, it's human nature to say, "Hey, this, I should see this through."
Well, I don't know. I think everybody's different. Everybody has their own beliefs. I try not to be bitter. Because I think when you're bitter, it just breeds negativity, and when you breed negativity, then it brings people down. So I always challenge our team: don't let your spirit become bitter, because a bitter spirit will bring people down. That's not what we're about. So, I guess I have to make sure that I'm not become that person.
If a coach were to reach out to you and for your advice on what they'd be stepping into here, what would be your advice?
Oh, I hope they do. Because it'll be a long conversation. It'll be a very, very positive conversation. I'm telling you, this organization with this ownership and this front office and support staff is unbelievable. And it's easy for me to say right when I'm hired and I'm a part of it, but I just got let go yesterday. So now is the time. But I'm not saying that. It's genuine. I'm telling you, it's genuine. This place is phenomenal. The owner is phenomenal. So it's a really, really great opportunity. And the players, I think you're coming into a situation where this is a hungry, chip on the shoulder team. So if a coach was looking at this, you'd say, pretty good situation.
Outside of, at any point, looking back at this whole retrospect, was the team too young? And I know that it's been 4 years and there's different teams, I know that. But was the team too
Well, I think, it's hard, because sometimes people will use that as an excuse. I've said that before. We're not young anymore. We can't use that as an excuse. So I've seen young teams do pretty well. It's hard. It makes it challenging. I'll tell you where it makes it challenging is when you're going through tough times. When you have that veteran presence and a guy that's been there and been through it, he can go to those younger players and say, hey, listen, here's how we do this. You just grind. You put your nose down and you work. When you don't have that veteran presence on a team, that's hard to help send that message to these guys. And we had some guys. Puz was great. Mercedes was awesome. It's just, when you have more of that veteran presence, then they overtake everybody and they go, this is how it's done now. Been there, done that. And it just makes that team so much more powerful. And now you have a group of guys that have gone through it. And that's part of being a veteran. That's what I talked to Jalen Ramsey about. I said, Jalen, listen, I know this hurts, but 3 years or 4 years or 5 years from now, if you go through this again, you will be able to share this with a younger player and help him. Don't miss anything. Don't miss any of it. You've got to take this all in so it makes you even better if it comes up again.